I was gonna run for community council, for like neighborhood council. It wound up not happening because as a journalist, you're not allowed to run for elected office for some publications, so I wasn't able to. I thought of it as a pretty neighborhood and a diverse neighborhood. Like, I didn't think of it as a neighborhood with a dark past, or like, I did not give it much thought beyond like its convenience for me in that moment.
But this is a neighborhood that was known to the PlayBoy Gangster Crips for many years, and prior to them being Crips, they were in this neighborhood as dancers in the 70s. So you were moving into, I guess, a gang neighborhood near the tail end of their history. Not to offend any PlayBoy gangsters out there, but this neighborhood has definitely been in a transition in the last decade.
Yeah, and I had no idea. Never heard of the PlayBoy Gangster Crips. Like, had never heard of a gang injunction. Well, I heard of a gang injunction, but I didn't know that this was the site of the first one. You know what my familiarity with the neighborhood was? In the book The Sellout, they mention how overnight you would see a new blue neighborhood sign calling it LaCienega Heights or Crestview, when there was no heights, there was no crest and no view to speak of. And I was like, LaCienega Heights, that's just on the other side of Robertson. Like, damn, like, that was a black neighborhood. I guess they must have really displaced people there. But like, I never like reckoned with what the political mechanics of that were, or like how that happened. I thought it might have just been a gentrification story, you know. Enough white people move in, the rent prices go up, and the minorities eventually have to leave. Like, that's kind of the rough outline of every gentrification story, or it seems to be. But that's not the case here. I mean, Cadillac-Corning, or now it's known as LaCienega Heights, it's like almost all rent controlled. So it wasn't like white people moving in, jacked up the rent prices, forcing people to move out. Like, it must have been something else. And it wasn't until the coronavirus pandemic, when I was looking up statistics, neighborhood by neighborhood on the LA Times website, I was looking for LaCienega Heights, and I was like, I don't even think that's a real neighborhood name. Like, I wonder if it'll be on this list. And like, I scroll down, scroll through all these neighborhoods, and LaCienega Heights not on there. And so I get all the way to the bottom, and literally like the last line with 1 to 4 cases. This was like early March, right? March 14th or March 17th, was Cadillac-Corning. And I was like, Cadillac-Corning? Like, I live at the intersection of Cadillac and Corning. Like, is that like what this neighborhood is called, or is that like somewhere else? And I like Google Cadillac-Corning, and like all this stuff comes up about like gang injunctions, like, you know, policing, the PlayBoy gangsters. Like, I'm like, what? Like, at Cadillac and Corning, like where I am now? And I, like, that night, like, I just went all the way down the rabbit hole. I started reading, you know, academic dissertations, like, and I found like actually a pretty significant body of research by this one student, UCLA student, now professor, Ana Muniz, and I read all of it, and or everything I could, and I just graduated from urban planning school at USC 2 years earlier, or yeah, I guess a year earlier, and I just was floored. I mean, it's just like I felt like I had stumbled onto something like really important that no one was talking about, and it also sort of complicated my views about how the neighborhood was already changing visibly, with more Orthodox Jewish people moving in, and already kind of misgivings I had about that. And then I was thinking like, oh, so like it turns out that this was originally a Jewish neighborhood like in the 30s, 40s, 50s. And then all the Orthodox Jewish people moved out because a bunch of black families moved in.
Okay, let's start right there because
Yeah.
Initially this was a Jewish neighborhood, but there were some, I guess, rules, some desegregation rules, and some busing that led to more black kids going to Hamilton High School. Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description, and thanks for watching StreetTV.net.